Boullion. I'm Director of Operations with Henderson HJISD. I'm joined today by our design team with PBK, and they're going to take us through the progress that we've made in designing Henderson Middle School and other recovery projects. So let's start with an introduction of the team. Melissa?
Hi, my name is Melissa Kappel. I'm the project manager on the Henderson Middle School project.
Hi, I'm Jorge Tiscareño. I'm a design principal for PBK.
And my name is Jennifer Quigley. I'm principal at PBK. We're going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see our presentation. Jorge? All right, can everybody see that? Perfect. All right, so first slide, we're gonna do a quick overview of the site. So this is the Hardin-Jefferson site. The existing high school is located here, as well as the existing Henderson Middle School. You can see that there's a large property north of there. That's the existing detention areas. Next. So here's an enlarged plan of the existing site. So the existing Henderson Middle School has currently been demolished. So the new middle school is going to go in the same place as the existing one was. You can see there at the bottom of the screen the Hardin-Jefferson High School, which will remain. And then to the left of that, we have the current Henderson Village, where the middle school students are currently housed. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the stadium, the track and field. You can see the existing field house, the restrooms, the concession, the technology building, and the blue gym. Those buildings will all eventually be demolished as well for part of these bond projects. So here's some quick photos just during the demolition projects of the Henderson Middle School. It was exciting to see the building come down, knowing that we're going to be building a brand new state-of-the-art facility for the students in Henderson Middle School.
Thank you, Jennifer. So this one is when the way we start always at the projects, besides also having some great both live and Zoom charrettes with all the facilities and everybody, the community and in Hardin-Jefferson. The way we always start is also with a site analysis. And in this case, we're not only taking the site analysis just for the replacement of the middle school, but we're also taking account into everything else, the existing, obviously, the high school, and then all the existing athletic facilities and how traffic, especially how traffic is impacted, and how can we actually make it flow a little bit easier, especially with this opportunity that we're going to have replacing the middle school and adding all the other amenities to this master plan campus. So just to indicate, and again, this is the existing facility right now and the way it flows. So I'm going to be highlighting it, but you see here already kind of in red right here at the center. That is actually the main kind of entry point for both, not only the existing middle school, but also the existing high school. So if you can see, and I'm going to zoom in a little closer, you know, people come in, they drop it this way for the middle school. And again, they come over this way and then they drop there for the existing high school. So that's where the main kind of parent drop-off is being allocated to. Then if you see here, the two in yellow, and actually I'm going to change in yellow here. I'm going to drive into the existing middle school. This is the little bus drop-off for the middle school. And then if you notice down here, this is the overall drop-off for the high school. And if you notice as well, this big area here for parking, that is also the staff parking for the high school. Let me erase all of this. And then lastly, I'll do this one in blue. This other one is where all the high schools, so the high schoolers kids are gonna come in through here, they come over this way, and then they come over and park on this blue area that I'm highlighting. So the intent is how can we actually simplify and make kind of the parking, especially the drop-off, just a little bit better, again, with all the other things that we're doing around, and especially all the other changes that is happening also back there in the athletic side. And then lastly, but not least, the other things to take into account into a site analysis is the overall sun orientation. So this is pointing north. You know, north is where we have actually the great lighting because we won't have necessarily any harsh light coming in. And then we try to avoid the east and especially the west because that's where we have kind of mostly the harshest sun coming in. If you notice here, this is the path of travel for the sun. So this is rises from the east, travels, and then it's going to set on the west side. That always helps us to inform, kind of best orientation for the windows and the academic, and trying to maximize windows into the new facility, especially. So just flowing into this one before Jennifer comes in and actually, kind of runs over not only the replacement of the middle school, but actually everything else. Let me just show actually the new kind of overall flow for the traffic for both the new middle school and the existing high school. So like we were mentioning before, the main kind of drop off for the high school will remain. So is this one here. And then the kiddos are, kind of dropping in there, coming in at the main entrance. But then the kind of the new change that you see in this location is you'll still have the same one, but this is now a longer, bigger drop off for the middle school, because you will also have more kids being dropped off right at the entrance and then getting right at the main entry for the middle school. So that one, we have the opportunity to elongate it a little bit more. And then, we have the opportunity to actually put in a little bit more visitor parking right there at the front of the middle school. Jumping in, like we were mentioning before, and like we said, I'll do this one in yellow, is the bus drop-off. So if you remember, the bus drop-off was a little bit loop here. So now we also, again, had the opportunity to make it a little bit longer, come in, drive around, and go that way. The bus drop-off is going to be dropping right there in the middle, because this is where we have the cafeteria, and that's where the staging happens for when you kind of get dropped off from the buses. Then jumping in on the backside, again, this was really no changes at all in regards to the bus kind of loop around, and then having the parking for the faculty at the high school. And then as well, kind of the same orientation like we did it in blue for the high school students, how they come in, they're still doing that in here, coming in from the north, driving down. But one thing that if you notice is it's not only just a single, one way in and one way out. And now we actually have the opportunity to come in and add a median here, and also as well in this location. So you will have, more cars driving in this way and a little more cars that can go that way. Plus also, again, being divided with the median. And the same thing here, we'll have a bigger drive again for one side and then for the other. So that actually hopefully will alleviate kind of the overall traffic flow, especially for the middle school kids, coming in from this point and then getting back to their existing parking locations. Jennifer, if you want to take it on the rest of the other amenities.
Yeah, so I'll just walk you through the site plan here. As I mentioned before, the new middle school will be in the same location as the existing Henderson Middle School was. We'll also be building a new field house just to the east of that. Taking advantage of some of that shared parking there in the middle. The field house will be elevated up over the football stadium. Part of the plan and the bond is to replace the track and field, upgrading some of the items on there. We'll also have to replace the tennis courts to build a new field house. So we'll be getting new tennis courts as well. And then if you move down south to the existing high school, you can see the location of the new auditorium. It'll be connected there to the existing high school, and then we'll be reworking that parking lot there to the east just to accommodate the new building and trying to maximize the number of parking spaces on this site.
Correct. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to talk briefly about the new middle school here. The site here is about 12.5 acres. The building is a two-story, approximately 138,000 square feet. We're building it for about 750 students, and we've maximized parking at 147 spaces on this site. So you can see sort of the orientation of the building here on the site, trying to take advantage of the north and south natural light.
Correct. And then here you can also see a little bit better, we can dive in a little bit better here, how we were mentioning before, we have all the visitor parking, again, it got extended. This is also mimicking, again, a little bit of kind of that curvature and drop off at the high school, but again, we mentioned we had the opportunity to elongate it. That way you have a little bit more of queuing space, again, for the parent pickup and drop off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon for the middle school kids. So it has a little bit longer stay. And then the same thing like Jennifer was mentioning, so we'll have actually, and let me do this one here in red. This will actually is going to be the new main entrance for the athletic side of the middle school. So if you notice, we'll have the athletic, the main gyms in here, the lockers on this side. And how she mentioned before, we have a new field house that is being flanked on kind of the west side of the field. So that way we actually have kind of this nice axis in the middle, kind of connecting both kind of athletic facilities. And at the same time, then we'll have that great parking location. Not only, obviously this is going to be for staff parking coming for the middle school, but again, maybe for, again, those games that you have in the afternoon, that this is going to be some additional some additional parking area for the field house and for the stadium and for the field. So because it's right next to it here this way, and this is going to actually be the two entrances. We'll talk a little bit further about it, but just getting to showcase how actually both facilities are kind of already kind of talking to each other. And like we mentioned before on the back, again, I'll do this one in yellow. If you remember, this is the new bus drop-off. Here is that cafeteria, and this is actually where they're going to be dropping off and staging at the middle school side. So now diving in a little bit more into the floor plan for the new middle school. Let me zoom in a little bit closer and bring the pans. So one of the main things, besides like how Jennifer said it's all right in regards to kind of the orientation, if you remember, this is the north and then this is the south. So if you notice that, this are the two academic wings here and here. So we're trying to maximize the north and the south for all of them. Here's going north into your south again. So what we're trying to do, and Jennifer, you can remind me, I think we have almost like 100% daylight into all the classrooms, or almost 100%, right?
Right, yeah, the orientation of this kind of U-shaped classroom wings around the central courtyard in the middle allows us to have exterior windows on almost all of the classrooms, I believe.
Yeah, so we have all of this, and I'm doing in yellow, all of this here, and that there. So that's kind of why like Jennifer said, we have kind of this U-shaped kind of layout, right? So it's just to maximize the daylight and the daylight, again, like we mentioned, to the north and the south. One of the other, I think, key things that we needed to do was usually on a middle school and almost in every academic kind of pre-K 12 environment is you have kind of a noisy side and a more of community side, and then a more kind of quiet, again, academic side. So in this case, we're kind of doing the same thing. This is our academic side. This is where we have the library, and then like she mentioned, the classrooms and the administration and special ed. And then in this side is where we're going to have, again, kind of the more noisy community side. So obviously we have, like we mentioned, the two gyms, the lockers, the music, and then the cafeteria. So that forms a nice kind of big axis in the middle to separate, again, these two spaces. So again, we have kind of the U shape here, all being actually flanked or being right at the heart of the library. And then we have this big square over here with the kind of the more community side spaces. So again, that's why this was kind of divided this way. And then it actually worked out really well because, like you mentioned before, that is the main drop-off and entry on the back side, again, around the cafeteria. And then this is our main entry. So that forms a great, very simple kind of way of actually moving across the new middle school. And then everything else, like I just mentioned briefly, is when we were doing the charrette, we kind of landed very quickly on, again, a little bit of a next-gen facility. Still obviously being with all the culture and amenities that we needed to follow by Harder Jefferson ISD. But one of the things was, again, pushing a little forward in the community. Really like the idea of, again, this is kind of that heart of the new middle school. So if you notice, this is, again, this in blue is the new very open library, and you'll and then the same thing is we'll have here being flanked by either side of the two academic wings, an open kind of learning courtyard. So between both of them, they kind of connect with each other. From the science and from art as well, but also from the library. And again, the library is going to be a very open space. If I can zoom in a little closer here, there's really not a lot of walls in the space. Again, just to make it feel very open, and it'll be an easy flow between, again, the classrooms and then coming into the library. And then connected to the library, there's not only the area for the books, but also we have actually a maker space. So that's almost like a STEM area. So it can easily change to a lot of things and supplement all the other curriculum around the school. And then another great thing too is that we have kind of this learning or community stair right at the center. There's the main way that we go from the first level to the second, but actually we'll have some big kind of sitting area as well. So again, this is kind of the heart and the soul for the whole new middle school. Jennifer, anything else that you want to supplement on the floor plan?
Yeah, I think it's just important to mention that right off the main entry, you'll have the administration, so it'll be really easy to find. We have a real nice prominent main entry. We'll go through the security vestibule, and then you'll be able to walk in to be greeted by the receptionist there. All of the main administration functions and the clinic is all located right up front.
The clinic is right here. Yeah, great point, Jennifer. And then we do emphasize there is a secure entry vestibule, and then you got to come into the reception before anything else. So you can walk here, you walk into the reception, and once you get badged, then that way you can go into the rest of the middle school.
Yeah,
and then some of the other things, right, Jennifer, too. For example, this little areas in green is, you know, we're kind of utilizing those spaces, right, for flex areas, as they kind of happen naturally throughout the space, and it's an extension again of the classrooms.
Yeah, and if you go to the second floor plan, you can kind of see some additional of those collaboration areas. And then we also have the science wing. So the science is all on the second floor, kind of overlooking that central courtyard. We do have the science lab flanked by 2 classrooms. So they can kind of open up and create more of a flexible lab space there. Then we also have the computer labs, which are also looking out open to the media center, which I'm not sure we mentioned. The media center is kind of like this double high space, which really allows us to have a real open feel for the school, but also allows us to provide natural light from some clear stories that are up at the higher level above the roof.
Correct. Thank you. And then just to finalize things on the first level, again, we'll have a nice kind of very open with a lot of windows, especially toward the north, the new dining commons. It is being planned to have maybe a little bit of an extension. So this yellow you see here will be a little bit of outdoor dining as well, just extending directly from the new cafeteria, you know, kitchen on the back, service back here. And I think very important is also, you know, the 2 gyms that will have it. So one of them will turn into the big competition gym. And if not, then this bleachers can retract, and then at that point you end up having actually 2 gymnasiums again. So we'll have this one and this one here. We'll have restrooms for the public, and then we'll have a weight room here that can also, you know, be seen again, kind of flanking from the other side, the field house. And then the lockers as well, right? We'll have lockers for both boys and girls, and then a band hall and some ensemble rooms as well. So I don't know if I can kind of miss anything, or I think that's pretty much it, right, Jennifer, on the floor plan.
Yeah, I think you covered it.
Thank you. So again, this is the second floor. And then just jumping briefly onto how we were mentioning, I think even like Jennifer was saying, that's actually the main entrance right here. You know, it being defined a little bit more with kind of popping up the height a little bit right there at the entrance. Again, not forgetting, obviously, you know, the logo of Hardin Jefferson, and also the name of the middle school. If you notice, and especially, you know, we can see it more in some other renderings, but I will also like to mention it here is, although the design is maybe, again, a little bit more progressive than the existing the existing high school, we also did not forget, obviously, that the high school is right in front of us. So a lot of the materials, especially the colors, are going to be exactly the same. We're going to be matching those colors again to be respectful of the existing high school there. And then even some of the lines, and again, some of the language that is already established in the high school is going to be carried over and then just kind of modernized in this new middle school. And as well, one of the things that you notice right away in here is all the kind of daylight and windows, again, providing as much natural daylight into the classrooms. And again, because it's been shown that obviously the more daylight, the better performance you will get from the students, and even the better well-being of the teacher and the faculty as well. So if you notice here, that's all a lot of daylight. So it's a lot of classrooms on the first level and the second level. And then I think even Jennifer had mentioned before too. So that pop-up window there, that's actually the little bit of the clear story windows right on top of that open library that we were mentioning before. And then here, actually, the other thing you can see is, again, that elongated parent drop-off, and then again, that parent drop-off canopy, again, for loading and unloading of the students. So again, this is a close-up now of actually that main entrance of the new middle school, like we were mentioning. So if you notice here, even in this one, you can see a little bit better, again, kind of the same tones and colors and the same materials. And again, for the brick, the fields of the brick, and then the same thing with kind of the CMU as well, kind of, again, taking those cues and notes from the existing high school. So, and again, if we mentioned here is, you know, creating just a nice, clear, defined entrance, because we feel obviously that's always very important to define the entrance for any new school. And then this one as well, you know, you'll see it here, but also you'll see it on the elevations when in the exterior design when we show the field house. Again, they're both kind of again talking to each other. But like we mentioned before, this is the main now entrance for kind of that athletic gymnasium side of the new middle school. So we'll have that again, kind of this is kind of picking up kind of the same language, just in a smaller scale of the main entrance for the high school. And like even we mentioned before, that's actually some nice windows and an entry point for that new weight room as well on this new middle school. And on this side, so this is the north elevation that we were mentioning. So this guy here, this kind of nice glass box, is that is the new cafeteria. This is that back entry that we were mentioning that aligns, you know, directly into the main entry at the front. And if you notice, this is the canopy, and here's the drop off for where the buses are going to be kind of staging and for loading and unloading for the bus riders. And even back here, let me zoom in a little bit closer, that'll be a little bit of an extended outdoor dining area. And then lastly, and I think this was the last thing that we were mentioning right now. So like she mentioned before, Jennifer, so that's kind of that courtyard, that kind of U shape that we were mentioning before. So this is one academic wing. This is the other. Up here is all the science. So for example, this is the science lab and the science classrooms. And that actually, by doing those two arms and having the science there, actually forms, you know, kind of this very secure kind of learning courtyard. So this is an extension again of the academic environment, although it's on the outside. But if we mention, you know, thinking obviously of security, so we'll have it fenced. This wall back here, you know, be maybe a branding opportunity just to showcase it, but on the inside, you know, can be maybe like a chalkboard or writable, erasable area. And if you notice here, you know, we'll have a little bit of terracing. And Jennifer, I don't know, you know, if you want to kind of allude to, you know, kind of also all the mitigation that we'll do for obviously for the grading and the site and the flooding.
Yeah, it's probably important to mention that the building will be raised above the floodplain, so we can try to mitigate any future damage that would happen due to flooding.
So for example, here, right, Jennifer, this is actually kind of stepping up, right? Because we're going to be, do you recall this, like, so like 2 feet, right, between kind of the lower level to the finished level of the inside of the middle school?
Yeah, there's definitely a large grade elevation. We're trying to match the existing grade towards the outside of the site, and then kind of slowly sloping up to the top of the finished floor elevation where the building will be. So that's where we're kind of working. The stepped courtyard here kind of works with that natural sloping down from the grade.
Yeah, and the thing I was mentioning is because obviously there's a lot of things, you know, happening in the side and mitigation happening. But here, especially at this point, we're taking that opportunity to incorporate it into the design, and it can be, you know, kind of that terracing effect, can be little benching areas, little seating areas. So, you know, kind of taking the opportunity of extending, again, kind of the academic environment. And then one really nice thing is, especially if you remember how we said that we were going to, you know, west is kind of tough. So what we did here is actually we floated those science classrooms. Obviously, they were being supported by columns, but what it does is actually creates a really nice covered, again, exterior, but covered area. So I think if I remember correctly, I think science was, excuse me, art is now back here, right? So then that way we can utilize the space again for coming in and also doing some art projects right there on the outside, and again in this secure environment. And if they needed to, and sometimes obviously in this, with our weather, this will be again a nice, very nice covered, a really nice big covered area again to still be on the outside, but you know, not necessarily be in the harsh elements when needed. Okay.
All right, so we're going to move on to the new auditorium. So this is a reminder of the site plan. The new auditorium addition will be linked to the existing Hardin-Jefferson High School. And you can see that the parking lot on the side, trying to maximize the parking lot there.
Correct. Thank you. And then just to showcase, especially how Jennifer was mentioning that connection and how we're not only, you know, coming in and adding the new auditorium, you know, right next to the two gyms, but we're also extending and actually utilizing the existing entry. So this is that existing main entry for the gyms on kind of that north side. And what we did here, when you see this yellow, we see this yellow area. So it was just extending and connecting kind of the new entrance for the new auditorium. So let me erase this, so show it a little bit better so people can do that. And that's how you're going to be accessing the new the new auditorium. The auditorium is for 400 seats, right? 400 people, right?
Yes.
Thank you. And then, so what we'll do is actually in the auditorium is going to be divided by, kind of two sections. One is going to be actually a tier section. So it's almost like in when you go to a movie theater, right? It's going to, this area here, you come in on level and then actually goes up almost like in a movie theater. And then this other area here that you see it kind of in the half moon, that's actually kind of sloping down. And we'll have obviously some ramps just to help with mitigating the levels, because then the stage is obviously going to be a little bit raised. So that way we can incorporate, although in kind of this very nice, kind of very kind of secure and nice environment on the stage. And again, so we'll have nice kind of grading for both of them. And you'll see them actually in some interior views. So you can see how this whole environment is getting designed. And then as well, when we were designing the stage, we were meeting with the facilities and with fine arts just to get the right size of the stage, of the width and the back, just for all the different special events and things that they will have. So the new stage will be able to provide a great environment for all of those. And even on the stage as well, we'll have a little bit of a dressing area, restrooms, and then some of the other amenities that we need to have for a new auditorium. And then just on the second level, right, Jennifer, we'll just have a little bit of a control, sound booth, and then a little bit of AV as well.
Right. Yeah, I think also you can see there's a bunch of ramping up into the building. So the building will be raised up even a little bit higher than the existing high school floor elevation due to some new requirements. And so we're kind of being able to accommodate that with the ramping.
For the ramping, yeah.
Jennifer, will you confirm that the lowest section of the auditorium at the very front is also 2 foot above base flood elevation?
Yes, that is correct. And that's why the main level of the floor would have to be raised above the high school, is because of the sloping down to the lower seating requires us to raise up the kind of main level of the auditorium. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
One other thing we should note,
Sure.
if you go back,
Yes.
there's that ramp on the back side of the stage to allow for access for band equipment or any stage props that aren't able to go, I guess, through the gymnasium and around to the other side.
Correct, Melissa, thank
That
you.
is, although it is outside, it will be covered by awning.
Correct, so we'll have maybe an awning like that there.
All the way to the door of the existing high school. Mm-hmm.
Like this?
Someone like that.
Something like that.
You can actually see it on the second floor. It's an L shape.
Oh, there it is, thank you.
There it is.
So it's like this. Thanks. And then, so this is a view, like we're saying, on the exterior. So like we were mentioning before, this is that existing main entrance right in there of the gym. So that's what it exists right now. So this is actually the new. So the new auditorium is kind of this new volume. So again, we're just going to match, absolutely all the, the same brick, the same kind of language, the same lines, the same finishes. So it'll just feel like, this new auditorium was always there, right? So we don't want to make it stand out. We just might not make it feel like it was always part of this high school. But then I think the real, go ahead.
All right, go back to that picture.
Sure.
And Jennifer, did y'all attach this? I mean, explain a little bit how you attach this to reutilize the entry and how y'all were able to save some costs by not giving the auditorium its own entry and bathrooms.
Right. So I think there's a few things that kind of come into play with that. One of them is the grade. So the finished floor having to be raised, us being able to utilize the existing entrance, we don't have to add an additional ramp if we were to add a new building entry for the auditorium. So that's one of the things. We're also trying to utilize like the lobby and the restroom and some of the storage areas that's kind of shared. So that's helping us keep our building footprint a lot smaller as well.
Exactly. But then, like we were mentioning, I think the real showstopper is obviously, like in any auditorium, is the inside. So again, this was done, if I remember correctly, this is the auditorium and the field house. We did it with kind of the virtual charrette. Again, we did it through Zoom. Again, but it was very successful, like the live charrette that we did for the middle school. And then again, we got a lot of input from the community and from the team and the task force that, you know, we got to this level. And especially, I think the direction from Hardin Jefferson was, you know, was set in very clearly that they wanted to have obviously a new auditorium, especially in the inside there, you know, that everybody was going to feel proud of. And I think at the end, everybody was very happy with this kind of this overall design. And again, like even Brad was mentioning, although we're trying to be very cognizant of obviously expenses and heights and you know, grades, we again, not forgetting about especially one of the first things that trying to make this a very a beautiful space that everybody will be proud of. So hopefully we did achieve that. So some of the things like we were mentioning, for example, Brad was mentioning, that is the lowest level of the auditorium. This is that area that I was mentioning, kind of the half moon that is sloping down. As well, we'll have actually a little ramp that will take us directly into the stage. So this actually takes us to the level of the stage. We're actually having ramps here, so because there's sometimes even the play and the actors can come out actually on the toward the audience, or again, if you have, you know, graduation or something else, you know, people can quickly come in and out from the audience back into the stage. So it'll be easy kind of people flow from one to the other. As well, we have, you know, kind of a nice designation of the proscenium. And then if you notice back here, you know, have acoustical walls that help with the acoustics. And as well, again, a nice design, not only that is intricate, but also helps with the acoustics for the ceiling design as well. So this is a view actually now almost like if you're in the control booth or right at the top of that kind of tiered seating that I was mentioning. So again, like we were mentioning before, this is a tier seating that is stepping up almost like if you're in a movie theater. And then this is kind of that kind of half moon that is actually kind of sloping down. And again, we'll have here the ramps on either side. You notice, again, the acoustical walls and again, the ceiling on the treatment, but everything is demarcating again, kind of the front of the stage. And then kind of the same view, but 180, right? So we're actually now, you know, standing on the stage. So this is what the performance and the actors are going to be looking at. So this one actually shows it very clearly up here. You know, again, like the movie theater, you're actually kind of stepping up. And again, this is kind of stepping down. Back here, if you notice, again, you know, here on the sides, the acoustical walls, but maybe with some lighting as well. And then especially back there, have acoustical panels again for absorption of sound. So we create a great, again, a great acoustical kind of auditorium.
All right. Next, we're going to be talking about the new field house. So here is where the field house is located. Like Jorge had mentioned, it'll be just east of the new middle school, kind of taking some cues from that middle school and building that into the new field house. You can see here it's shown as separated as 3 buildings. So we have the main field house and then 2 restroom concession buildings on each side. But this will actually be 1 building under 1 roof, and that way allows for breezeway for the entrances. So you can have a home side and a visitor side to enter through into the stadium. I think you can also kind of see in general some of the new track and field here we have shown, the high jump location. We had to relocate the shot put and the new tennis courts.
Yeah, especially the new tennis court up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of the things I think that's, you know, by putting the field house right in here, you know, we have the existing, you know, kind of home bleachers and then the visitor bleachers over here on this side. By putting the field house, you start to create almost like, and I'm going to do a quotes, almost like a stadium field. And especially you'll see it when we show you some of the exterior views, especially we have a view here looking from the home side into the field house. It starts to actually almost enclose the field and start again to create kind of this almost stadium feel and a little more intimate feel as well. And then also as well, like Jennifer was mentioning, you know, kind of putting the restrooms on either side and the concession, again, hearing from Brad and from everybody else. It'll be very easy if you notice the walk, you know, for people to come in and actually get, kind of their snacks and the concessions and going to the restrooms on this side. And then again, the same thing on this other side. If they needed to, they can also crisscross. It'll be a walk that connects both of them. So at the end, actually, all of this is connected. So it makes, again, for a little probably better experience, again, for the people going to the football games and some of the other athletic events.
Go back to that, Jorge.
Sure.
I think it's also worth mentioning for those that are new to the project that this was also the most efficient way to rebuild all these buildings. So we had 5 buildings that we're replacing and turning into one. And all of those were going to need to be elevated somewhere between 3 and 5 feet, which means there would be a ramp to each one, stairs to each one, and then having to build the ground up and then slope it away from the building. And actually, not only does this clean up the facility and it's going to make it a nicer looking facility, this was, the easiest and most efficient way was to put it all on one side and together and not put it in pieces like it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct. So the new field house is actually almost 6 feet above the existing level of the track and field, which actually creates for a really nice design because the field house kind of overlooks the track and field. And like Jorge mentioned, from the field side, you're kind of looking up and it feels like more of an enclosed type of stadium.
Correct. Thank you. So jumping in, we orientated, if you notice, we're just orientated the floor plan a little more on the kind of length just to actually be able to capture all of it. But again, kind of the first thing that Jennifer was mentioning, although it looks like 3 buildings, but especially when you see the exterior design, you'll get to see actually this is one continuous roof that is sloping. So it'll actually look like one building. But the way it was done, that matter is because we were going to need to have, like you see there, the concession right here on that side and the restrooms. Same thing, again, symmetrical and identical on the other side, and concession stands here. But that allows actually to have a nice breeze entryway here and here. More than likely, this will be for home. This will be for visitors. Right here at the front, we have an area for the tickets, so people can come in and park and get their tickets right away without necessarily even going on the inside. If they needed to go on the inside, let me erase all of this and zoom in a little closer to look at the actual field house. So we'll have a nice little lobby with a small administration as well in there. So if people can come in here or can come in there to get their tickets. We'll have a nice film room, again, for the athletic events and coaching. And again, we'll have here the coach's office. And we'll have 2 lockers on either side. So we'll have the varsity lockers here on the right side. And then we have the JV lockers here on the left side. And again, it'll be varsity and JV for obviously the high school students, but as well when you have, somebody else coming in and competing, this will be home. And again, this will be for visitors. Let me erase all of this. And then here at the heart of it, so when people are going to walk in, and if you notice right there, and I think this was what Brad was alluding to, there were a lot of different things put all into one space. So we also have the weight room right in here, it's right at the center. And when we show you the exterior design, we actually maximize the view. So actually the weight room is looking into the field. And like Jennifer was mentioning, since it is high up, they will get actually a great view of the field. And if you notice right there, we'll have quick access with steps again, so the students can come in. Let me erase this so you see it. So then the students can come in and actually go if they needed to do, if they're on the weights and they need to do a quick kind of circuit or run quickly to the outside. So this is how they will flow from the weight room into the field. And like I was mentioning before, so this is how they're walking and going into the concessions and the stands. And this is from the home side, they come over. But like we said before, there will be a walkway that connects actually both sides of the concessions and the restroom. So people can actually, if one is too busy, they can go quickly onto the other.
All right, I'll go back to that real quick.
Sure.
I'd also like to mention that, one of the problems that we had in the old field house, the weight room is for both male and female athletes. The locker rooms are just for male athletes, but the weight room and the training room are both for male and female athletes. And we have rectified the issues that were in the other building. One, you had to enter through the coaching office, which was problematic. 2, there were no restroom facilities in open areas for the female athletes. And so that's been addressed. So both guests and female athletes will be able to access restrooms via the lobby, the weight room, the training room, and the film room are all off of, and the coaches' offices for that matter, are all off a central platform outside of the locker rooms. And so this space, except for the locker rooms themselves, will accommodate both our male and female athletes.
Correct. So pretty much the way it was designed, right? Like you were saying, Brad, again, that's more for male, but then everything else is quickly accessed by almost everybody else. Yeah, and one thing that, we forgot was also, like Brad was mentioning, also the trainer room is right there on that side. We'll have a little, little area for the garage, so then they can quickly go in and out. And even again, as well, you see the doors here on either side, but then this dash line, that will be a kind of a garage type of rolling door. So then again, they can open it up again in good weather, and they can quickly, again, kind of extend their weight room and kind of circuit training as well. And then just to finalize here, we'll just also show you a couple of exterior views of the field house. So if you remember, again, the design of the athletic entry, the gym entry on the middle school. So we're carrying that over. If you notice, this is, it's a little bit, we have a little bit more metal up here. If you notice, again, this is just right at that point where we have the lobby and the tickets and a little bit of the administration, especially also the weight room is a little bit higher. But again, it's all one roof that is covering, and again, it's covering all the way through all the field house and the 2 concession stands and restrooms on either side. So if you see it, that is one of them, and the other one is, further this way. Another thing to actually also pinpoint right here in this elevation is obviously have a clear entrance for the field house, have opportunities for branding and obviously spirit for Hardin Jefferson, but as well, the ticket booth. So we have them right now for windows here for quick easy access. And if you remember, right here at the front of it, of that road, we'll have, again, all that parking as well. So it's within quick, easy access.
Jennifer, before we go back, talk a little bit about the cost-conscious decisions we made with this building and how you can see some of those here.
You're mute, Jennifer.
You're muted, Jennifer.
Working. Okay, there we go. In addition to combining all of the uses into one building, right? It's also going to be a pre-engineered metal building. So that'll help us simplify the design and use some more cost-efficient materials for the building itself. The roof slopes are simplified so that we can use the pre-engineered metal building, all saving on cost.
And again, even like you were mentioning, even as well, kind of the material, right? So it's going to keep it in more with metal, and then just bring a little bit of masonry, again, a little bit of block, just to tie to the existing high school, the new middle school, and it will tie it a little bit closer. And even if you guys remember, we'll have even just 2 of those 2 little elements, but we have those columns again on the entry on the gym on the new middle school, and then we have them in the existing high school, and we have it at the front of the new middle school. But still being very cost conscientious, like Brad was mentioning. And then lastly, we're almost done here with the presentation, but just to show again that kind of weight room, and again the like Jennifer was mentioning, kind of the slope in the roof. This is extended a little bit more just to cover, just to provide some covering again for the weight room, because the weight room is that area right there. So let me zoom in a little bit closer, so you can see even what's happening on the inside as well. And like we mentioned before, we'll have doors here that actually open directly into those kind of steps that is taking us, like you said, Jennifer, like around 6 feet from this highest point to the lowest on the field. But as well, right there, we'll have kind of that rolling door again to kind of extend kind of the exercise area, the weight room area for the athletes, right? Even you notice here, again, kind of the rolling door for the trainer room as well. And then lastly, we'll show you, 2 quick images. Again, this was the view that we were mentioning. So we're here, looking at, pretty much actually not only the field house, but, we actually can look at the new auditorium in the high school on the background. But again, like Jennifer was mentioning before, we have one continuous roof, one continuous building with the breezeways right there. And here we have the concession on one side, we have the concession on the other, again, restrooms on the back. But again, this actually now makes it feel a little bit more like a little bit of a stadium effect. And if you can even see, again, the kind of the height here, so we'll have kind of a berming effect on either side. And again, kind of the walks that leads us from the bleacher to each side of the concessions. And then lastly, before we finish, I wanted to actually show what, kind of a sunset view would be, especially if you're looking west, and obviously a lot of the games will be playing in the afternoon. So again, I think we feel, and everybody was very happy with the overall kind of product and the design. The weight room kind of can also glow a little bit at night. Again, we'll have the concessions with good lighting, and then even also the possibility for some great kind of branding and bringing the spirit and the colors and the mascot of Hardin-Jefferson. So anybody else, any other comments and things before we wrap it up?
I think you covered it all. Jorge, you did a great job.
Yeah, everybody.
Great job, guys. Thank you for your time, and we appreciate this. We hope for those watching that this gives you better insight on what our plans are and how we look to complete these projects if you decide to approve them in November. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.